It was Christmas Eve, and the air in Lagos was thick with excitement. The city was alive with shimmering lights, festive decorations, and the sweet scent of roasted meat wafting through the streets. Inside a restaurant, the ambience was perfect. Elegant chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and soft jazz music played in the background. The table was set for two, with fine china, golden cutlery, and a red velvet cake, just the way Maryam had envisioned it. Maryam sat nervously, her hands clasped in her lap, waiting for her boyfriend, TJ. She had been in a relationship with him for 9 years, and over the years, her love for him had only deepened. Their love story wasn't perfect, but it endured the test of time. They had grown up together, supported each other through difficult times, and dreamed of a future together. Maryam had been waiting for the right moment to propose, but TJ had always been distant about the subject of marriage. Over the past year, he had constantly told her that he wasn't ready yet. "I need to get my shit together first," he'd say. "Buy a luxury house, buy cars. Make sure I'm financially stable before I even think about getting married." But tonight was different. It was Christmas Eve, and she had planned the perfect evening. She had even prepared a surprise. She was going to ask him to marry her. She had bought a beautiful engagement ring, one that sparkled in the light, and her heart raced with excitement and anxiety. She wanted to take the leap, even if he wasn't ready. As the clock ticked, TJ walked in, dressed in a sharp black suit. He smiled, his eyes scanning the restaurant before landing on Maryam. Her heart skipped a beat, and she stood up to greet him, a smile playing on her lips. "Hey, babe, happy holidays," TJ said as he hugged her. "Happy holidays," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. They sat down, and the evening unfolded with laughter, gentle conversation, and the clinking of wine glasses. As the main course was served, Maryam's heart pounded. She knew it was time. "I have something for you," Maryam said, slipping the small box from her purse and placing it gently in front of him. Tif's eyes narrowed in confusion. "What's this?" Maryam took a deep breath. "TJ, you've always told me you're not ready for marriage, but I'm tired of waiting. I love you, and I've spent 9 years of my life with you, and I know we've both been working on our dreams. But I believe in us, and I believe it's time. So," she opened the box, revealing the ring. "Will you marry me?" The waiter stopped mid-step. People at other tables began to glance over, sensing something big was about to happen. They started chanting, "Say yes, say yes, say yes." TJ's face froze. His lips parted, but then, before Maryam could even react, he stood up. "I'm actually seeing someone else," he said. Gasps echoed from the surrounding tables as the waiter fumbled to set down the wine glass. Maryam felt her world crumble in an instant. The cheers in the crowd turned to confused murmurs as people whipped out their phones, recording the shocking scene. "You're not the one I want," TJ continued, his voice steady, his eyes scanning the shocked crowd. "I never intended to marry you. I've been seeing someone else for months now." Maryam felt her heart shatter. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. TJ picked up his coat and walked out of the restaurant, leaving her standing there, alone, humiliated, with the ring still in her hand. The people around her murmured sympathetically, but Maryam could only stare at the door where TJ had walked out. But before we continue, hit the like and subscribe button. And where are you watching from? Is it Kenya, United States? Comment down below. Maryam stood frozen in the restaurant, her fingers tightening around the engagement ring box. She tried to process what had just happened, but her mind was blank. The waiter, unsure what to do, slowly approached her. "I'm so sorry, ma'am," he said softly. "Should I bring you another drink?" Maryam shook her head, her mind racing. What just happened? How could TJ do this to her? 9 years. She had sacrificed so much for him, supported his dreams, stood by him when everyone else said he wasn't going anywhere. And this was how he repaid her, by publicly humiliating her in front of a crowd. As she left the restaurant, the weight of betrayal pressed heavily on her chest. She barely noticed the rain that had started to pour, soaking her dress and hair. She didn't care. Her thoughts swirled in confusion, pain, and rage. She needed answers. Who was this woman TJ had chosen over her? And why? Maryam couldn't shake the image of TJ's face as he revealed the truth. He'd stood there, his words cold, the crowd chanting, and her heart breaking into pieces. She could feel the weight of their judgment, their eyes on her as she stood frozen, holding the ring. She had been humiliated, exposed in front of strangers. The woman she had been to him, the love she had invested for 9 long years, meant nothing to him. Now, walking down the rain-soaked streets of Lagos, Maryam's mind was spinning. She had to act. She couldn't just let this go. The anger inside her burned hot. She had to find out who this other woman was. And once she did, she would make sure TJ knew the cost of betraying her. The next day, Maryam woke up with one thing on her mind: revenge. She had no idea how she was going to pull it off, but the fire in her soul was unmistakable. She knew she had to start somewhere. First, she needed to track down TJ's new girlfriend. It wouldn't be easy, but Maryam was determined. After all, she had spent 9 years learning everything about TJ. It was time she used that knowledge to her advantage. Maryam sat at her kitchen table, sipping on a cup of tea, scrolling through TJ's social media accounts. She knew TJ was a bit of an open book, always posting pictures of his life, from his gym sessions to his business meetings, and of course his travels. Maryam found herself scrolling through old pictures of them together. She used to love these moments, seeing the way they pose, always so happy. It made the sting of betrayal even more painful. Think, Maryam, she muttered to herself. Think about where he could be hiding this girl. She checked the locations tagged in his recent posts, analyzing every detail. Then she saw it, a picture he had posted 2 weeks ago at a hotel in Victoria Island. The caption read, "Perfect weekend getaway with the best company." Maryam's fingers trembled as she zoomed in on the background. A woman's face was partially visible, her back to the camera, but Maryam could tell it was someone new. The woman's long hair cascaded over her shoulder, and her posture screamed confidence. The kind of confidence Maryam had never felt from TJ before. Maryam made a mental note of the location, then set out to visit the hotel. The hotel was everything Maryam had expected. The polished floors gleamed under the soft lighting. She walked past the lobby, her heels clicking softly against the marble floor. She wasn't here to book a room. She was here for answers. She approached the front desk, her heart pounding. "Excuse me," she said, flashing a smile at the receptionist. "I'm looking for someone. I believe they were here about 2 weeks ago for a weekend stay." The receptionist, a young woman, smiled politely but shook her head. "I'm afraid I can't give out that information, ma'am." Maryam pressed, her voice calm but firm. "I don't need a name. I just need to know the type of room they were in. I'm sure you can help me with that." The receptionist hesitated, and Maryam could see her struggling to decide whether to give in. Maryam didn't give her a chance to decline. "You see," Maryam continued, her voice lowering just enough to add an edge, "this person is very important to me, and I need to find out who they were with. It's an urgent matter." She leaned in closer, her gaze intense, her tone soft but compelling. The receptionist finally relented, typing something into the computer. After what seemed like forever, she looked up and handed Maryam a piece of paper with the room number and a description of the suite. "Thank you," Maryam said with a soft smile, her eyes cold as ice. She took the slip of paper and left the hotel, her heart racing. She now had the room number where TJ had stayed with his new girlfriend. The pieces were slowly starting to come together. That night, Maryam couldn't sleep. Her mind kept going back to TJ's betrayal. How could he do this to her? She had always been there for him, emotionally, financially, and physically. She had supported him through thick and thin, and he had done this in return. The anger that burned within her wasn't just for the betrayal, but for the lies. All those years, all those dreams, were they just illusions to him? Maryam reached for her phone and dialed the number of her closest friend, Chica. Chica was the kind of friend Maryam could count on, no matter the situation. "Chica," Maryam whispered when Chica picked up, "I'm going to find out who she is. I know where they stayed. I need your help to track this woman down." Chica's voice was full of concern. "Maryam, are you sure about this? This could get messy. I have to know who she is. I have to make him feel the pain he's caused me. It's the only way I can get justice for myself." "I get it, Maryam. I'll help," Chica said softly. But be careful. Don't do anything you'll regret. Maryam didn't respond right away. She was already too far gone. The next day, Maryam took action. She started by searching for the name of the woman who had been with TJ at the hotel. Maryam knew TJ well enough to know that he always tagged people in his posts. And sure enough, she found a picture of TJ and the woman tagged in his social media feed. Her name was Ivy, a name Maryam didn't recognize, but one that now consumed her thoughts. Maryam knew exactly where to find Ivy. She wasn't going to just confront her. She would use the truth as her weapon. Maryam quickly made plans to meet her, but she didn't tell Chica. This was something Maryam needed to do on her own. As Maryam prepared for her next move, she couldn't help but feel a rush of adrenaline. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about making sure TJ knew the consequences of his betrayal. She would expose everything, and if Ivy was part of the lie, she would make sure to bring her into it, too. Maryam walked into the coffee shop, where Ivy frequented. She spotted her sitting by the window, her beauty undeniable. Maryam took a deep breath, steeling herself. She wasn't just here for answers. She was here for revenge. Maryam sat at the coffee shop, her fingers trembling as she gripped her purse. Her eyes were locked on Ivy, who was sitting by the window, obliviously sipping her coffee. She had spent the past few hours tracking Ivy down. Maryam had imagined so many scenarios in her mind, confronting her with all the anger, telling her how TJ had betrayed her, but nothing had prepared her for what she was about to discover. As Maryam stood up to approach Ivy, her legs felt like jelly. She swallowed hard, pushing past a sudden wave of doubt that threatened to stop her. When she reached the table, Ivy looked up and smiled politely. Maryam didn't return the smile. "Excuse me," Maryam began, her voice steady but carrying an edge. "Are you Ivy?" Ivy's smile faltered slightly. "Yes, I am. Can I help you?" Maryam sat down across from her, her gaze sharp. "I need to talk to you. It's about TJ." Ivy's eyes widened in confusion. "TJ? What about him?" Maryam took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I know about you and him. I know about the hotel, the weekend getaway. I know you've been seeing him." Ivy's face went pale, and she blinked rapidly as if she couldn't comprehend what Maryam was saying. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Ivy began, but her voice cracked. "I don't. What are you talking about? TJ and I don't understand." Maryam's eyes narrowed, her heart pounding. "Don't act like you don't know. You've been with him, haven't you? For months now. You've been sleeping with my boyfriend." Ivy recoiled as if Maryam had slapped her. Her eyes filled with tears, and she quickly wiped them away, looking down at the table. "No, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know you were with him." Maryam froze, her anger dissipating for a moment. "What do you mean you didn't know?" Ivy burst into tears, her shoulders shaking as she tried to hold back sobs. "I thought I was the only one. TJ told me he was going through a rough patch with you, that you were just friends. He said he wasn't ready for a commitment, but he needed someone who understood him. He made me believe he was single, that he was in love with me." Maryam was speechless for a moment. She had come here ready to expose Ivy, to tell her that she had been a part of the betrayal. But now, the tables had turned. Ivy wasn't the enemy. TJ was. Maryam felt a strange mix of sympathy and anger. It wasn't Ivy's fault. She was just as much a victim in all this as Maryam was. Maryam reached across the table, gently placing a hand on Ivy's. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I had no idea you didn't know." Ivy looked up at Maryam, her face streaked with tears. "I never meant to hurt you. I thought TJ and I thought we had something real." Maryam nodded slowly. She felt her heart soften, but her resolve was stronger than ever. TJ had used both of them, and now it was time for him to face the consequences. "I know you didn't," Maryam said, her voice firm. "But we both know who the real problem is here. TJ. And he needs to be taught a lesson. I want to make him pay. Are you in?" Ivy wiped her eyes, her expression hardening. "What do you want me to do?" Maryam leaned forward, her eyes sharp and calculating. I want you to meet him. Go on a date with him. Let him believe everything is fine. And then at the dinner, ask him one question. Who is Maryam? Watch him squirm when he tries to lie about it. Ivy looked hesitant for a moment, but the fire in Maryam's eyes made her pause. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Maryam and Ivy spent hours plotting how to make TJ's world crumble. They set up the date at a restaurant in Victoria Island, one where TJ liked to go to impress women. Maryam knew TJ would expect a luxurious evening, full of his usual charm and manipulations, but they would turn it all on him. Maryam's heart raced with anticipation. She knew TJ would deny everything, pretend like he had no idea who she was. But she also knew it would be too late. Maryam would be there, watching from the sidelines, ready to expose him in front of everyone. The shame would be unbearable. And this time, there would be no getting away with it. It was a cool evening, and the restaurant was bustling with energy. The dim lights, the soft hum of conversation, and the clinking of wine glasses created an air of exclusivity. TJ sat at a table, his back straight, his eyes scanning the room with the kind of confidence only a man who had always gotten what he wanted could have. Ivy arrived, looking stunning in a black silk dress that hugged her curves. She walked toward the table with a smile, and TJ stood to greet her. He kissed her cheek, and they sat down, the conversation light and playful. But Maryam wasn't far. She had taken a seat at the bar, her eyes glued to the scene unfolding before her. TJ smiled and raised his glass. To us, to a wonderful evening, he said, toasting. Ivy didn't join the toast right away. She had been preparing for this moment, and now she had to deliver the question she had rehearsed. So, she said, her voice calm, yet with an underlying edge, who is Maryam? TJ's smile faltered for a split second, his eyes darting around. And for a moment, Maryam could see the panic rising in him. What? Who is Maryam? TJ stammered, trying to cover his tracks. Ivy tilted her head, her expression unreadable. Don't play dumb. You know exactly who she is. Tell me, TJ, who is she to you? Before TJ could answer, Maryam stood up from her seat at the bar, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. The room fell silent as she walked toward them, a fire in her eyes that only TJ could recognize. Maryam stood before him, her face a mask of fury and betrayal. She didn't wait for him to speak. You want to know who I am, TJ? She said loudly, her voice shaking with emotion. I'm the woman you lied to for 9 years. I'm the woman you humiliated in front of everyone. I'm the woman you discarded like nothing while you went off and played games with her. She pointed toward Ivy, who sat there, still processing the moment. TJ's face drained of color. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. He looked around the restaurant, his palms sweating. Maryam didn't give him the chance to apologize. You're a coward, TJ, and I'm done being your fool. She turned to the crowd that had gathered, all eyes on her. People had already started pulling out their phones. Someone even began filming. Maryam knew this was it. This was her moment to take control of her story. Everyone! This is the man who thinks he can play with people's lives, who thinks he can lie and manipulate anyone he pleases. He's been playing both of us for fools, and now it's time for the world to know the truth. The shock in TJ's eyes was priceless as Maryam walked away, leaving him humiliated, exposed, and utterly defeated. The video of the scene quickly spread across social media, and within hours it had gone viral. TJ's phone rang nonstop as people sent him the link, laughing at his expense. Maryam knew it was far from over. This was just the beginning of her revenge. The viral video of TJ's humiliation had spread like wildfire. Within hours, it had flooded every corner of social media, from Instagram to Twitter to TikTok. People were talking about the betrayal, the scandal, the public display of shame. Maryam's name was everywhere, but so was TJ's. Only, unlike Maryam, TJ's reputation had been shattered. He tried to reach out to her, calling her multiple times, sending desperate text messages, but Maryam had no intention of answering. She had given him her time, her love, her loyalty, and in return, he had given her nothing but lies. Now it was time for him to face the consequences. There would be no second chances. The first time TJ tried to call Maryam, she simply stared at her phone. His name flashed on the screen, and she hesitated only for a second before pressing the decline button. He had lost the privilege of hearing her voice. She wasn't the same woman she used to be, the one who would drop everything just to listen to him. No, now she was someone else entirely. Stronger, wiser, unforgiving. A few days later, Maryam's phone buzzed again. It was a message from Ivy. Maryam opened it, expecting a simple check-in, but it was something entirely different. "Hey, Maryam," the message read. "TJ has been going through hell. People are still posting the video, and he's lost so much. I've spoken to him, and he says he wants to meet. He says he's sorry. He wants to talk." Maryam read the message, her mind swirling with mixed emotions. It was clear that TJ's ego had taken a severe blow. He was probably regretting everything. But that didn't change the fact that he had put her through so much pain. But this wasn't just about TJ. It was about Maryam. It was about her reclaiming the power he had stolen from her, and Ivy was part of that. Maryam smiled faintly as she typed her response. "I don't care about his apologies, Ivy, but I'll meet him. Let's see what he has to say." The meeting took place in a private restaurant on the outskirts of Lagos, the kind of place where people could hide behind the high walls and perfect ambience, where no one would recognize them. TJ had insisted on it, trying to give the appearance of a genuine apology, but Maryam could see through the act. This wasn't about making things right. It was about damage control. When Maryam entered, TJ stood up, looking disheveled in a loose shirt and jeans, a shadow of the confident man he used to be. His face was drawn, his eyes dark with exhaustion. He had clearly been up all night, consumed with the fallout from the viral video. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by a desperate need to salvage whatever was left of his pride. Maryam took her seat across from him, her expression unremarriably. "Maryam," TJ started, his voice shaky, "I know I've messed up, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Please, just let me explain." Maryam raised an eyebrow. "Explain? You don't get to explain. TJ, you had 9 years to be honest with me. 9 years of lies and manipulation. And now you want to tell me everything is fine? That you're sorry? It's a little late for that, don't you think?" TJ's eyes dropped to the table, his hands clenching into fists. "I was stupid. I never should have lied to you, Maryam. I've always cared about you, but I just wasn't ready. I was trying to get everything together, you know? I wasn't in the right place." Maryam's heart hardened. "No, TJ, you were never in the right place. And the truth is, I was always waiting for you to catch up, to get your shit together. But you never did. You used me. And you used Ivy, too." He flinched at her words, but Maryam didn't care. She leaned in, her eyes burning with the fire of someone who had been wrong but had finally taken control. "You're not going to lie your way out of this. I'm done with you. The only reason I'm here today is because I promised Ivy I would meet you. She deserves to hear this, too." TJ's gaze shot up, panic flooding his face. "What are you talking about? What do you mean? Ivy deserves to hear this." Maryam smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "I'm talking about the fact that you've been playing both of us. You've been lying to us, manipulating us, and I won't let you get away with it." At that moment, Ivy walked into the restaurant. She was dressed in a sleek, elegant outfit, and she carried herself with an air of confidence that Maryam hadn't seen before. She had taken her time to get here, knowing that this confrontation would be the last straw. It was time to put everything out in the open. When Ivy saw TJ, her eyes hardened. She walked straight toward him, stopping just a few feet away from his chair. Maryam watched as she folded her arms, her gaze unwavering. "You've got some nerve, TJ," Ivy said, her voice low but firm. "I never knew you were a liar. I thought we had something real. I believed in you." TJ looked up at her, his face filled with a mixture of guilt and frustration. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Ivy. You have to understand, I was confused. It wasn't you." "Don't lie!" Ivy interrupted, her voice rising. "It was always you. You knew what you were doing, and you used both of us. And for what? To feed your ego." TJ's face turned pale, his mouth opening and closing without sound. He had no words left. He had been caught, and it was too late for apologies. Maryam stood up, a sense of finality in her movements. She leaned over the table, her voice sharp. TJ, you've been exposed. And now you'll pay for it. You think you can keep playing us? Well, the world knows who you are now, and you're not the man you think you are. Maryam stepped back, a satisfied smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Goodbye, TJ. Enjoy your life, if you can. With that, she turned and walked away. Ivy followed her, and the two women left the restaurant together, leaving TJ behind, humiliated and broken. As the days passed, Maryam and Ivy found a strange sense of trust. They didn't have to like each other, but they understood the pain of betrayal, and in that understanding, they found peace. Maryam knew she was ready for something new. She had put the past behind her, and now, it was time to move forward. A new chapter had begun. What would you have done if you were in Maryam's shoes? Would you have taken a revenge route or forgiven TJ? Let me know in the comments.